Hello guys and welcome back to another Unobtained episode. Actually it's called Technical Unobtained now, I always forget. But in the Technical Unobtained series we try to check out discontinued features and discontinued technical Minecraft stuff. So for example, we are getting end portal frames and stuff using bugs in old versions. But the difference between this series and a normal Unobtained series is that we also try to do everything with a technical twist, that being safe stating or using villagers and large farms a lot. So we'll be checking more of the progress I've made out today, because it's been a while and I've done a lot in the meantime. And first of all, I should mention something that the older viewers will have noticed already, and that's that I actually have a new PC now. So if you look in the top left corner, you can see the FPS is very high, and I also got a new massive screen. So as you can see, the screen size is now normal and not 2010 sized like it used to be in the older episodes. So I hope you guys will like the higher quality that I'll be able to deliver my videos in. The very first thing I started to do when I finished the last episode was I was starting to collect a lot of quartz using the RNG manipulator, which allows me to get 4 quartz per ore I mine, or 5, I don't remember exactly. And a lot of slime too, because I would eventually need all of that for a world eater, which as you can see I have built up here. And this was quite an interesting process, because 1.12 world eaters are very different from other world eaters from newer versions. And this was actually the first world eater I've ever made, so that's quite cool, I think. And how the process basically goes, to people who don't know how it works, is you first have to make a trench on the side here, and then you do that using TNT duplicator flying machines too. And then you dig out basically a 14 block wide trench, because that way the world eater can lower itself into the ground and it won't get stuck on any blocks. And how a world eater generally works is these smaller flying machines all go flying simultaneously due to an instant wire on top here. And these are tiny TNT dupers. So there used to be a detector rail on top of here with a minecart on top, which would block update detect this TNT. And then the flying machine would be able to fly over to the other side, all the while duping TNT and it landing on the ground and blowing stuff up. And then coming over to this side, and due to the push limit it would get stuck on here, and then this piston could reactivate it after the whole machine would be lowered 1 block. So this is actually the spawn chunks, which you can see through that little Lightmatica bug thingy here at 000. And I made this perimeter here for lag purposes, because when I made this perimeter I actually didn't have my new PC yet, and I wasn't even planning on getting one. That's how long ago it was. So for lag purposes, having a perimeter in your spawn chunks is very nice, because nothing will get processed inside of the spawn chunks, and that way there is just less lag and the MSPT is just generally lower. And as you might have heard, I don't care that much about that anymore right now, because I have 310 or so villagers just in this box, chilling in my spawn chunks, raising my MSPT to like 13, while usually it's like 2. So that's very nice. So that's one massive project, and obviously I had to take down the iron farm that used to be here in order for the world eater to be able to pass through here. But I'll show why these 310 villagers are here in a later part in this very episode. So we'll check that out later. After I finished the World Eater, I started to realize how annoying it actually was to gather cobblestone. So at this place here, I quickly built up a cobblestone generator. It's quite a simple build. This, by the way, designed by Mango, just like the double speed World Eater I used. And I took out this TNT duplicator here and replaced it with a dispenser, because duping TNT really is pointless for me, because I duplicate sand regardless and I have enough gunpowder from the witch farm. So this water stream where the cobblestone goes through basically hooks up to this collection system from the stone farm I already had over here. I can quickly enable it. Let's hope it still works. And the Endermen are here because my mob switch is actually off right now, because of the new PC I increased my render distance to 16, so a bunch of mobs in lazy chunks got unloaded or got loaded, which made them despawn. As you can see, there's just a bunch of cobblestone flowing through here, and there's a 100% drop chance by blowing the blocks up while they're block 36, so that's very nice and TNT efficient. And like I just said, I have a sand. I duplicate sand, which is done by using this little machine here in the spawn chunks, because all the sand that goes through the end portal in the end side ends up here. That's why there's a concrete block here, because I also duplicate concrete. How does this work again? I'm pretty sure you have to break this. And then here, yes. So this is a 0-tick generator. It appears really weird, but what it basically does is this redstone line does turn on, but for such a short time it doesn't even look like that. So this is just a very fast pulsing clock, and there are sticky pistons here because if sand arrives here, it can basically get teleported in a single tick over to here, which makes it fall down, and all the sand items that appear here go into this hopper and go into this double speed shulker box loader. The same applies for the end side. That's a bit loud, the portal sound for me. I don't know if it is for you guys, but I still have the end crystal here from 1.8, and that makes it so there is always a hole in the obsidian platform, concrete powder, and whatever falls through, and it goes through this end portal I got here. I know I probably should have placed a bot. Let me just cut real quick. I just quickly spawned a bot in the end, and he's currently loading the end, so this works now. So the sand goes down here, it falls into the portal here, and it simultaneously breaks on a fence, so it gets teleported and it breaks at the exact same time, which causes it to duplicate, and the items are collected by a double speed hopper loader on the other side. This minecart would pick up all the items that get teleported here, but it doesn't because it isn't aligned properly, and now it's even more messed up. Anyways, the minecart doesn't get moved from there because zero ticks don't move entities, because if zero ticking pistons would move entities, you would be able to move an infinite amount of blocks per tick, which would obviously not be very balanced in comparison to piston bolts or whatever. Also, while we're here, some of you might have already left a comment asking how I broke all the bedrock down below here, but there was no bedrock in the first place because all of this terrain here was generated in InfDev 2010-0327, and in that version no bedrock generated on the bottom of the world. There was just a massive lava ocean. So there was no bedrock in the first place, so I didn't need to break any at all. Also, I was going to collect diamonds from here, from the last few layers, and I was going to pause the machine for that. But as it turns out, the world eater is actually faster than I expected, so I just left it running for a while, and when I came back it already ate all of the lower layers. It would have been interesting to mine the diamonds because absolutely massive 22 block veins spawn down here, but in this old terrain, but that's just too bad. So as you guys probably don't know at all, I keep a list, and about every day I write down what I've done in my world, so I'm able to show everything in these kinds of episodes. But I did this one project which took so long that there's just a month gap in my list of things I did, with the first day saying that I started gathering materials for it, and then after the month gap in which I didn't write anything, it still said I was collecting stuff for it. So that was quite a massive project. Another reason for why I didn't write down there was because I wasn't playing a lot, because I had a lot of tests in that week, and I was on holiday for a while and I didn't have a PC. But whatever, I'm going to show you the massive project I did, and some of you guys might already recognize it from just this, because it's quite a easily recognizable build, because it has a very specific look. And some of you might be wondering why it's this big now, because it's actually a bit bigger than usual, mostly this part here, but I'll try to explain all of it. I obviously didn't design this myself. It was designed by A1306 and Activation and a few other guys who did a lot of great work. And all of their work combined into this Ender Pearl cannon, which is just this huge thing which duplicates a ton of TNT. All of this here are TNT duplicators, and all of these modules have like 8 TNT in them, as you can see from below here. And all of this TNT can get duplicated and launch a pearl, an ender pearl, somewhere else in the world. So it can accelerate pearls to move more than 1,000 blocks in a single tick, and a tick takes 1/20th of a second, so it can make a pearl move 20,000 blocks in a second, which is honestly amazing and so cool that that's even possible. But in 1.12 there is 1.12 is the best version for pearl cannons like these, which is why I also build it up, because this will pretty much get discontinued in 1.13, because in 1.13 chunk loading is completely broken, and that means you can't load the pearl in its destination location, which pretty much makes this entirely useless, because you will have to get over to the destination location to load the pearl, but if you're over there already, why even use a pearl cannon? Anyways, I already mentioned that this back part here is a bit larger than usual. Actually, it's twice as large. So basically how this works is you have a selector panel here. All of these lamps can be lit up through selecting it. So currently top row is selected, and now I selected the middle row, and if I hit this button, the middle lamp here will get selected. And the point here is you can write signs on here, and for example this one goes to the woodland mansion or whatever. So this is a selector panel for destinations, because this cannon can actually program TNT in a specific way, so you can launch a pearl into a lot of specific locations. Like that whole panel full, you can program all of that panel and have all of those locations. So basically how it works is a lamp represents a line of rails here that continues all the way through here, and there are actually 5 layers here. So if you would select the bottommost lamp over here, and it would be the most left one here, then it would be represented by this rail line here, because it's the bottommost of all of the 5 layers, and it is the most left one, so over here. And basically how this then works is once you hit that button on the gold block, these rails here get powered, which is detected by this observer, which powers this rail line here, etc. And all of that is detected by observers above here. And these observers are programmable. So basically you can place an observer here, and if you do that, then it will power this line, which will power the plus 572 TNT thing. So by putting no observers and observers in particular spots here, you can program how much TNT gets duplicated on both sides. And using these pins here, you can decide a general direction, and then using the programming of these pins, you can decide a specific direction, like specifically to a block. So you can get within like a block of your destination, even if your destination is 10,000 blocks away. So that's really cool. And as you can see, there is a blue side, which obviously corresponds to that side, and red to there. But the thing here is that you have it twice. So you have blue and another time blue. And that's because this blue and red and green represents where a TNT will go. So a TNT block, you can shoot a TNT. Basically how this works is it first shoots a TNT entity, and after that it shoots a pearl, which is determined by this bit here. So, and this white in the middle here represents how long it takes before the pearl is launched after the TNT is launched. So basically if this is 4 and 1, then it's combined 5. So the pearl will get launched 5 game ticks after the TNT gets launched. So why would you want to launch TNT? Because you want to teleport, right? So why launch TNT? And that's because for a chunk to load very far in the distance, you either need to run a redstone line to it, or you can just shoot a TNT there, and the TNT will make the chunk load. Because in 1.12 there is a bug where projectiles like ender pearls do not load chunks when they arrive in them, which also causes them to get lost. And there is a carpet rule which allows you to fix that. I'm pretty sure unloaded entity fix, yes. And that will load the chunk for you, but obviously that's kind of cheaty. So if you want to do it less cheaty, you can use TNT, and you can shoot a TNT somewhere and to load the chunk, and then you can run a much shorter chest line from the chunk where the TNT arrives to the chunk where the pearl is. So that's quite an oversimplified explanation, because you need to place the chest on a chunk border, and then this chest will cause this chunk to load because it checks if it's a double chest or not and whatever. So that's quite complicated, but we'll just use it now. I'm just going to press this button, which will initiate this program. So what it will do is it will power this rail line here, which will get detected by these observers, which will get sent down here. The signal will get sent down, and then it will be put into these insta wires over here, because they are instant, because this piston gets updated, realizes, oh, I'm budded, starts immediately removes this redstone block here because it starts extending, and that will immediately unpower these, which will immediately update this piston, etc. And then there is a bit of delay here, and the signal gets sent up to a bunch of decoders. Basically, you have blocks here, and if the block is here, the comparator can read through the block here and detect a cauldron or whatever, and that can... Oh no. I just threw pearl. Okay, wait. Let's get back up there. So that'll... Where were we? We were at the purple part. And that will subtract from this subtract mode comparator, and how the lower this signal is, the higher another signal somewhere will be. I'm not sure. Anyways, the higher, so the lower this signal is, the more of these bits are activated, and the more TNT it will eventually produce, because there is a comparator line here, and this will get sent over here to the TNT jupers eventually. So this is a pretty interesting thing. You have multiple modes here. So this multi-shot mode is for when you want to throw in multiple pearls. So now, yeah, this pearl is being held in stasis by these two pulsing pistons. And then you can have multiple players throw their pearl in here, and then you can launch for multiple players at once, which is of course a bit less laggy. Okay, now we'll put it back to single shot, which will launch the pearl upwards, and you can see all the TNT. It's a bit laggy now. The TNT gets launched to the middle of the cannon, which for the TNT first, and then for the I'm a bit distracted now. Yes, and then for the pearl, obviously. So there is a bit of a chest line going out there, because the location where the TNT ended up is actually here, and that's a bit different than the pearl's location, even though they currently have the exact same programming. And that's a bit different purely because the TNT has more air friction than the pearl, so it slows down faster. So the pearl over here is a bit further than the TNT is from the cannon, because the cannon is that way. Also, you can see there's a piston bolt here, which is entirely useless now. And if we just go through this portal, you can already see from my coordinates that we're very far away. We're 12,000 blocks away in the overworld, and we're at these very suspicious looking vindicators without access, which I'm pretty sure I already showed in some other episode. So that's pretty interesting. Usually you'd put an end portal here, by the way, but I just built this program here so you can use the end portal to quickly hop in and get back to spawn. But I just didn't do that yet for that one. But for the other program I already did that. Let me just quickly teleport, because this is a creative copy. So the cannon is all the way over here. Quickly fly over, and then we'll try the other program, because the other program goes a lot further, and I'm pretty sure it makes you move past the speed of light. So basically how teleportation works, in 1/20 of a second you instantly get teleported to the other side, obviously, because that's how teleportation works. And even though the pearl lives like 3 ticks or something, that doesn't really matter to me, because it doesn't really count to me, because you get teleported, so it's basically instant. So I think it should count as instant, or whatever, 1/20th of a tick. And that's also how the top left speed calculator basically works. Let's hope this works. It will become very laggy here, because it produces a ton of TNT. And now we have arrived at our destination, and if you pause the video you might have seen this speed counter go up like a ridiculous amount, because we basically got teleported, what is it? I don't know, the Pythagorean theorem is too hard for me. We got teleported very far in just a single tick, so the speed counter has to go up a lot, obviously. And now we're here. So the whole reason I initially decided to build that cannon is for this particular project. It should have been activated by those hoppers over there, so we can go back. This is how easy it is to go back, by the way. You can just run through portals, and now we're back at spawn. And I'll quickly have to kill those golems as fast as possible. Villager golem. Yeah, the idea for iron golems in this version is pretty weird. So if we walk over here now, you will start to see something interesting happen. So what's that golem doing over there, and why is he in a portal and not teleporting to the other side? Well, it only appears like he isn't teleporting to the other side, but if you look up closely you can see the guys are rotating here. So what's actually happening is that they're spawning one golem every single tick, because over there all the way 12,000, or no, in the overworld it's 100,000 blocks out, I built a chunk loading grid which basically manipulates the RNG in such a way that these golems can all spawn. Because how villages work in this version is very simple actually. They run a check to check if there are enough doors and if there are enough villagers to support a golem. because there for each golem to exist there have to be at least 10 villagers. And then it does a random call, which basically looks like this. Random dot next int 7000, and this call is very susceptible to RNG manipulation, obviously, but it is a 1 in 7,000 call, so only 1 in 7,000 mention regions will actually work with this particular number, which is why my mention region is so ridiculously far out. But it's still very interesting, I think. I'll quickly spawn a bot that these golems can spawn so quickly, because if I'm standing over here it won't work. Like if I'm over here now, I'm pretty sure it should work. It doesn't actually. If I'm in the nether, it definitely works. Also, what you see happening here is the golems are getting teleported into the ground on the other side, because this portal is sliced, with which I quickly did using update suppression from Instantaltic, which is very easy to do, because you just place a comparator next to this, then you mine a block, and then it basically works perfectly. And because the portal is sliced, if they get teleported to a portal on the other side, they actually get teleported into the ground for some reason, which is a bug in 1.12 obviously, but I'll probably be hearing pretty loud golem sounds, even though I turn them down a lot, because all of these golems are teleporting into the ground. They're entity cramming here, and they're taking suffocation damage obviously from the blocks, and then all the item entities are teleporting upwards due to another bug thing that exists in 1.12. So basically they teleport to this portal, but that doesn't work very well because the portal is sliced, so they get put into the ground here. And that's just this site, this circle of golems basically. This is just amazing. You can see all of them dying. One golem per tick is dying essentially. So this stream of iron here is so ridiculously fast. It's 280,000 iron per hour, or 288,000 iron per hour even. And this is just honestly ludicrous. This is completely pointless for any survival application. The amount of iron this is, you can't even use it as fast as it's being produced, because 288,000 per hour divided by 3600 is how much iron you get per second. And as you can see from my inventory, you get quite a lot of iron per second, like a few blocks per second, or even more. Let me get my calculator quickly. So I quickly calculated it, and it's 80 iron per second, which is almost 9 blocks of iron per second, which is just crazy fast. And you can see the MSPT in the top left corner here is slowly going up because of all of the item entities in the overworld now. This is just insane. All of the item entities are slowly starting. This is just like, look at this. The golems in the nether are still dying, but the spawning has stopped because I'm too close to it. This is just ridiculous. 8 blocks per second. 8 iron blocks per second is just pointless at that point. Just throw it into the void at that point. It's like, I can just wait in the nether for a few few minutes and I have enough iron for any sort of normal project. And currently it's not even perfect, the golem spawning. I saw it flickering in the overworld, so I'll quickly try to go to the chunk loading system and I'll try to fix that real quick. So now that I'm over here anyway, I thought I should show you how this looks basically. So this is the chunk loading grid that's used for the golem spawning. And as you can see, it's basically just a bunch of repeaters. And it isn't very interesting at all actually. So basically how this works, there is an autosave detector, which is designed by Eddie Example over here. So basically one pulse comes out of here if the autosave occurs, which causes this repeater to power, which causes this one, and then it goes into this massive clock here, courtesy of Captain Solo from the MCDF Discord, who said it's messy but it works. So okay, that's basically how all of this series works. It's messy but it works, so I will build it. So there are 112.5 repeaters here on 4 ticks, which makes for a 900 game tick clock. And every 900 game ticks, a line is loaded over here, which goes to the repeater chunk loaders. And this one is loaded, which goes to another set of repeater chunk loaders. So basically how this works, this repeater loads those repeaters there, which in turn load chunks. And this one will have a 4 game tick delay before it goes over there. And this one will have a 5 game tick delay, because if a piston powers another piston, it takes 4 or 5 game ticks to do that. And as many of you know, obviously, repeaters have a 2 game tick delay when they're in this stage. And all of those repeaters are in that stage. So basically what happens is this wire activates first. So it will be first tick, a repeater over there will activate. Second tick, repeater over there will activate. Third tick there. Fourth tick there. So it will reset the RNG completely every tick. Which then, because loading a chunk in 1.12 reloads the RNG, it basically resets it back to the number it was set to in order to determine where woodland mansions should spawn in the mansion region. And this is a very particular mansion region, which resets the RNG in such a way that the very next time it will be called, the very next time it runs, for example, this, it will return the number 7000. And that 7000 number, basically how it actually looks in the code, it's basically if this number is equal, if this random number generated here is equal to 7000, then the golem is allowed to spawn. So usually only about every 7000 ticks this condition would be met, so you get like a golem every, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, I think. But this code didn't exist yet in the version 12W08A. So in that version, each tick a golem would be spawned, just like using this RNG manipulator, which is something that NameBrainDead showed in his recent old versions episode, which I will link in the description too. And he said usual 1.12 iron farms are very slow and they don't reach his speed in 12W08A. So I'll just quickly disprove that that isn't the case. 1.12 iron farms are in fact just as fast, and my particular farm is even faster than his because it uses portals to instantly teleport the golems away, which makes everything a lot faster than his water flushing system. So get destroyed, name brain dead. I'm in fact better. The tech always wins from the basic shit. So I'll try to get this to work then, and then I'll see if we can get a true golem rain without any intervals. So I removed the junk, but unfortunately all the golems now appear below this portal, which I guess is logical actually. Anyways, we should get back to the episode now. That's the chunk I quickly /filled away. And we should check out some more farms, because obviously I built a bunch of farms and improved a bunch of farms actually. Oh, oops. To get all the resources required, because even those 5 layers required update suppression amounts of resources of gold. So I'll quickly head over there and then I'll check in with you guys again. So over here in the end we have the gold farm, where I improved the collection system a lot. So now there are droppers here in which the hoppers here point, and a bit of a larger collection system where only the gold nuggets are collected. I'm pretty sure I have a bot up there. Yep. So this is a spawner based farm using the spawners I mined using Silk Touch or beta 1.6 test build 3 chests or something, and spawn X from 11W49A obviously. Pigmen spawn, fall to their death, gold gets collected by these hoppers below the slabs, goes into these droppers, and then if I were to activate this clock here, or all of the clocks, all of the droppers start spitting out their junk, and also some shiny nuggets too, which all get picked up by the collection system over here, and the chest slowly fills up. So I use this to get all of the golden rails I used for the button selection panel thing. And for this machine, for the ender pearl cannon, I had to get a lot of concrete, which I got through the use of this machine, which is a concrete converter, which uses a TNT duper up there to blow up the concrete after it's been converted to water, which happens over here. And this is a data value transmutator for falling blocks in 1.12. So white concrete comes in here and then gets converted to purple concrete over here, or whatever any color you want you can use to convert between them. Yes, I still have a bunch of this. Activate this quickly. Need to activate this. It isn't working properly for some reason, I don't know. Weird. Anyways, you can see the purple concrete falling down, which is nice. After a minor pit stop in the nether I just made because I forgot to turn the iron farm off, and there were about 1,000 iron golems, or yeah, so 1 per tick for like 10 minutes or so. So that wasn't good at all. Like half of the command console filled up with their death messages. Anyways, it's fixed now and the MSPT is normal again, instead of the literal 574 I just saw, which was amazing. We're over here back in the base now, where I have built a squid farm, which is very easy to do in 1.12 because squid spawn in any water source in any biome, just between like y equals 45 and y 63. So they just about won't spawn in that water over there. And they swim out themselves because they don't run checks where to swim. And all of their drops get collected in here. This was just a tangent I did because I didn't really need that much black dye, but whatever. And then the last thing I actually wanted to show in this episode was how I removed all of the bedrock over here, which was done using a dragon egg bedrock breaker, a specific one designed for instant falling, because the instant falling flag can be turned on, and then these guys very easily break bedrock. I can actually show instant falling. So if these guys fall, they'll, so I'll break this netherrack, then it will take this netherrack's place and therefore break it, like you saw there. So I broke all of the bedrock over here, which was used for the wiring using that, and I recorded a clip of it, but then I got a new PC and I had to reinstall Windows, and I didn't copy all the files properly, so I lost that footage. It wasn't too interesting because it was basically a flying machine which automatically broke the Dragon X for you, which was posted in the Psycraft Builds and Light Medics channel, so I have no idea who actually designed it, but probably some Psycraft member or so. Anyways, that was it for this episode. I've shown pretty much everything I've done in the past 6 months. They were massive projects, so I don't think I've been lazy at all. I think the time I took is like reasonable, because I even talked to the creator of the Pearl Cannon and he mentioned himself it took him 6 months or so to gather all the materials required and build it for the cannon and build it up in survival. So even the creator takes a while to build it, it's like acceptable, I think, if I take a while. So anyways, I hope you guys like this episode, and I hope you guys consider subscribing and liking the video, because it took so long to make, and if you subscribe you don't have to be worried that I'll be spamming your notifications or anything, because as you can see, I upload once every 6 months, so that is not anything of concern. So see you guys later. Bye bye.